Hi, Eagles fans. I waited a day just to try to not jump to conclusions and be too pessimistic. Like everybody else, it's ridiculous. Watching two in a row after the bye week, two losses in a row, 27-20 against Washington. Um, it's the same stuff from last week. Uh, Defense came out slow, gave up 14 right away. Uh, can't stop the run. Washington just piled on the runs. The defense, 0 sacks against Cousins. You're not going to win ball games that way. Eagles scored, offense scored 6 points. You got a special teams touchdown by Smallwood, Jenkins with the interception return with the pick six, and you get two field goals. Washington was the dogs in that game. They were the dogs in that game. 2.5 points. Every time they're the dogs, like I said, they ended up covering. Um, Still thought the Eagles were going to cover that game, still win that game. To see the offense not be able to get going, I know Johnson being out, that's huge. Big V, Peterson was saying he struggled in the beginning, then settled in later on. That's fine. Wentz had 5 sacks. Not being able to move the ball very well, scoring 6 points. That's it. Taking one deep throw down to Matthews, I think it was 54 yards. I'd like to see that spread out a little bit more. They don't have to have the completion. Just get the ball down the field just to spread them out, keep them honest a little bit. Like to see, if they're not going to be able to get the offense going and the offensive line is that bad, get some screens, get some play actions, do something, switch something up. Um, you know, Doyle had a couple catches. Um, he got out in the open. Wentz, threw that one high to him. He went out and got it, which was nice. Matthews had that one drop, Mattthews, had that one drop. He had to go up and get it, but he harnessed it in with his right hand. He should be able to hold on to that and at least get a couple yards after the catch, but he couldn't. Ertz had one catch, 7 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Where he was the first 3 quarters, I have no idea. Then, of course, he had that big drop that he, could have gotten into the end zone inside the red zone. That really sucked. Just overall play, missed tackles, getting torched on the run. Schwartz defense. He's making the adjustments in the second half, which is nice, but you're putting yourself into a hole every single time. The Detroit game, same thing. You go into 14 and then you come back. It's a lot to ask. And it changes up your game plan a little bit. Eagles can't establish a run. Matthews, Mathews, had 2 big runs, which kind of padded his stats a little bit for the day. But still, the offense can't get going. I think they had 80-some yards total. They can't get over 100. Their time of possession was 24, 25 minutes, which was, after the first 3 games, almost 9 to 10 minutes less. It's a disgrace right now. 13 penalties last week, 14 last week, 13 this week. And as Schwartz said with the about it's just undisciplined. I know Cox is getting a little frustrated there with take the helmet to helmet on Cousins, which that's debatable. But his head was up and he got him. And the last week too. And Schwartz said, if you do dumbass things, eventually you're going to be labeled a dumbass. Well, right now that team is pretty damn close to being that. 27 penalties in 2 games. Granted, I'm not going to blame the refs. I didn't do it last week. I'm not going to do it this week. But, the blatant hold on Kendricks on a big run. There are holds. There are tons of holds. But I think that goes both ways. Eagles have to make their own breaks, and they're not doing it right now. I think Spielman was talking before about playing to lose the game or playing to win the game. Right now, it seems like they're just playing to keep it close. They're not taking big hits down the field. They're not going for it. Third down conversions is ridiculous. 4 for 12 again. You're not going to win ball games that way. You're just not going to do it. Unless you have some guy that can just get out there and bust it, for a run like that. Zeke's killing it down in Dallas. They got a great offensive line. I'm watching the highlights of him running and stuff like that. He's got 4 yards just like Emmett did, 4 yards before anybody touches him. And then the teams he's just blowing right past them. No, it's pretty. It's hard to be optimistic at this point. 3-2, which is nice, but those first 3 games, granted they were against bad teams. They should still be able to. They were in this Washington game. They were in that Detroit game at the end, and they couldn't pull the trigger and win the game on either of them. The whole punting the ball with a minute and 50 or a minute 40 left in the fourth against Washington. You still had 3 timeouts. You put the ball down in their area. You make some stops. You get the ball back. I could see it either way. I could see it. I mean, that Ertz drop killed him. But he still had more touches to do something. Get penalties, get sacks. Go down 4th and 35 or whatever it was. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. It looks very very undisciplined, very sloppy. And my feelings of Peterson on that Peterson hire originally are starting to come to that point, and I think a lot of other people are on the same boat with that one. Hopefully they can get something going. Of course, they're playing Minnesota. Minnesota's a 2.5-point favorite right now on the road in Philly. Who knows? They know. Well, I don't really even think, because that whole coaching staff was gone. So some of the players know Bradford, but for the most part, it is what it is. And I hate to say it, but I sent it out earlier. I think that the word rebuild is going to be brought up a lot in the next few weeks. And that's just pretty much just an excuse. Oh, we weren't expected to do anything anyway. Well, it's easy to say that, but when you're 3-0, you can't shit the bed for the next 2 weeks after a bye week too, when you're supposed to get everybody healthy. So I'm not optimistic right now. I don't see too many things to be optimistic about. I mean, Wentz was 11 for 22, didn't even come close to 200 yards. He's throwing the ball high, so he's getting some pressure on him now. He's starting to throw the ball high now. He's not settled in like he was. There were a couple plays where I think he could have got rid of the ball. Well, I don't know if he could have got rid of the ball. He had time back there in the pocket, and they were probably either a coverage sack or he was just holding the ball too long. I don't know. But with our receiving core that we have, I would not be surprised to say it was more of a coverage sack and they couldn't get their asses open. The thing with Doyle, he's a tall dude. He can always just go up and get it. So he should be. I think he's got to get on the field a little bit more. It's just, I don't know. It's just amazing. It really is to see a team transform to what they got the last 2 weeks from where they were. The way they handled Pittsburgh, and then what they did now. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Might be able to recharge a little bit and maybe bounce back, but I don't know. I wouldn't put too much on the Eagles this week. Have a good week. See you.